we will learn all about security deposits in QuickBooks Online. If you have any questions about this topic, you can leave them in the comments section below and I'll do my best to help you. And of course, if you feel the video helped you, I hope you will click like and don't forget to subscribe to get updates on new videos that come out all the time. There are two choices for managing a tenant's security deposits in QuickBooks Online. You could just make it part of the normal balance. And honestly, most people do it this way. Okay? You don't need to separate the security deposit if you don't have to. But just be aware that the balance of the tenant includes the security deposit. And you would see that amount on the tenant-related reports that we have already worked with. However, some people are required to track the deposits separately. In that case, we have to make an account in the chart of accounts specifically to track tenant's security deposit. This will not affect the tenant's balance on the tenant-specific reports, so you have to keep that in mind if you're tracking the deposits separately. We could modify the account report to see the tenant-specific deposits, or more clearly, which tenant gave what money towards the deposit account. And of course, when we go to record an actual deposit, we would use the deposits window, not the payments window. First, we have to put an account in the chart of accounts called security deposits payable. That's because the security deposit is a liability. So let's go ahead and do that. Accounting, chart of accounts, here we are. Then we click new, and the type of account is other current liability. Other current liability. It's a current liability because at any given moment you may have to give back some of it to a tenant who's moving out. Now, what's the detail type? As I mentioned before, it doesn't really matter, but just choose other current liability, and the name in capital should be security deposits payable. Security deposits payable. Save and close. And that's the account, where is it? Here it is. That's the account that we will use when we physically receive money that is supposed to be set aside for security deposit. If you track security deposits separately, you have to ask your tenant to give you two separate checks or two separate credit card swipes. One for the first month's rent and the other one specifically for the security deposit. The rent check you record normally, and the check for the deposit you would record in the deposits window. So for example, April 1, Gary Greenstein, who's already on the tenant list, moves into apartment 7G. His monthly rent is $800. So he gave you two checks on April 1. Check 1983 for $800 was specifically for the deposit, and then the other check was for April's rent. So let's go ahead and enter the deposit check first in the deposits window. You click the plus sign and you come where it says other, which is the column all the way to the right, and you click bank deposit. Now, the date that he's putting the money, or the date that he's giving you the check, is April 1. And you received it from Gary Greenstein. Gary Greenstein. And the account is the security deposits payable. The account that you put for the deposit. We know the bank account is where the money's going into. And this is where the money's coming from. It's coming from security deposit payable. And the reference number is the check number 1983. So he gave us check number 1983 for $800 specifically for the security deposit. Now, when we click Save and Close, you can click Reports, trial balance, and you can see security deposits payable shows up for the first time as $800. What you will not see is this $800 in Gary's balance. Report, tenant balance detail. Gary Greenstein's still not even on the list because we did not yet record normal rent. Now we'll record check 1984 for April's rent. So we have Gary Greenstein. We're going to click here and click receive payment. Still April 1. Still Gary Greenstein. Okay, now he doesn't have, don't worry about this warning. Okay, reference number, the check number is 1984. And the payment method, of course, was a check. And this was a separate check for the April rent. So we click, we put the payment amount. Amount received is up here in the right. You see it? You put 800 and you push tab. So for check 1984, for this 800, this will change his rent balance. Save and close. And now when we come here, we see that, well, we'll have to refresh. We'll have to click reports. And we'll have to click tenant balance detail. And you can see that Gary Greenstein is down here now in apartment 7G. And it only shows 800 in his balance because the other 800 is in the security deposits payable. Now, this example has an additional step for people who are in this situation. Let's imagine on April 1, Harry Houdini, who is already on the tenant list, moves into apartment 8H. His monthly rent is $900, but in this case, he gave you one check on April 1. Check number 6611 for $1,800, and this was supposed to cover the security deposit and the April rent. Well, if he gives you one check, but you have to track the deposit separately, here's what you have to do. You have to enter the same check twice. And again, that's only if the tenant won't cooperate and give you two separate checks in a situation where you have to track the security deposit separately. So first, we have to enter the deposit. Click the plus sign, and on the right where it says Other, the top choice is Bank Deposit. And of course, this is received from, this was from Harry Houdini. And of course, the date was April 1, and the account is Security Deposits Payable. And the payment method was check, and the reference number was 6611. Now, even though the amount of the check was $1,800, we're only going to put $900 here. Watch, it'll all work out. And then, of course, you could type in the description that this is only part of a check that was entered twice, where both of them add up to the total. Save and close. And now, the very same way you previously recorded payments, you choose Harry Houdini, and you're still don't worry about this, you're still going to say payment method is check, and the same check number. And that's how we know it's the same transaction when we get the bank statement. The amount is just the amount of the rent. So we're receiving from Harry Houdini $900 in normal rent with this check number, and that check number also got another $900 for the deposit. And then when we click Save and Close, take a look. Harry Houdini is now on the rent report for a rent balance of $900. Not the entire $1,800, just the amount that's owed in rent. But if you click Reports and you click Trial Balance, you can see that security deposits payable has increased to $1,700. And if you want to know whose security deposits are those, you would click the $1,700 and you would see, especially if you could make this column wider, you could see that this $800 was from Gary Greenstein, and we still owe that back to him on the day that he moves out. And this $900 is Harry Houdini's deposit, and we owe that back to him on the day that he moves out. And of course, if you click reports, trial balance, cash and bank, and you click the cash and bank number, you can scroll to the bottom and see that both this payment of 611 as well as this here, even though the deposit it doesn't show, you can see they're both from Harry Houdini and they're both 900. So when you get your bank statement, you'll match both of these up with the one check that clears the bank.